Hi, my name's Kim J and I'm a visually impaired chef. I'm also a volunteer for RNIB. Now today I'm going to show you how to make one of my signature dishes. It's a lamb curry. It is full of flavour, it is super tender, super moist. It does take a length of time to cook, but it is well worth it. And it freezes very, very well. And every time I have a dinner party, this is the one dish that has to be on the menu, because everybody asks for it. Now the ingredients you're going to need are approximately 2 to 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, a large bunch of coriander, which we're going to chop very finely, approximately 4 large white onions, I've got 7 small onions here, and approximately 3 red onions, and I've got 5 small onions there, 2 green chilies, about 3 cloves of garlic, and about 1.5 centimetre of root ginger, all of which we're going to chop very finely. Now I've got here £2 in weight, or a kilogram, of boneless lamb. You're going to need salt, chilli powder, black pepper, turmeric, a large tin of tomatoes, garam masala and cumin seeds, and those are the ingredients you're going to need for this fabulous lamb curry. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare my garlic, ginger, chilies and the coriander. Now you can, I'm going to grind them down in a food processor. If you don't have a food processor or a blitzer, it doesn't matter. Just chop them up as finely as you can. Now in my food processor I'm going to pop in the garlic, the ginger and the chilies. And I'm also going to put about a tablespoon of oil. Now I've taken the coriander that I've had, I've cut off the ends, and just using the stems only, not the leaves, I'm going to chop that very finely and put it in this blitzer with everything else and whip it up. I've blitzed the coriander, the garlic, ginger and chilies until it's really fine, and I've now got a large mixing bowl here into which I'm going to put that lovely lamb. I'm also going to put about a teaspoon of the cumin seeds, and once I've done that I'm going to add that lovely coriander, garlic, ginger, chilies into the lamb and then give it a stir. The next thing I'm going to do is prepare the onions. Now I want to blitz the onions down with my food processor. Again, if you don't have a food processor, don't worry about it. You can just chop it up very finely. Now I've got here an amazing gadget. As you know, I love my gadgets. It's a food preparation board, and it's a small oblong board that on one side in the centre has prongs, and into that you can put your vegetables and cut them with great ease without having to worry about safety or where your fingers are. And it is so simple and easy to use, as easy as that. And now I'm going to put the onions into my food processor and blitz them down. On the hob I've got a large pan into which I'm going to put about a tablespoon of oil, and into that about a teaspoon of cumin seeds. Now I'm going to cook these cumin seeds for about a minute, and as it heats up you'll be able to smell the cumin seeds cooking. It's a very earthy, musky aroma that gets stronger, and you'll recognise it. It's a very curry type of smell. These cumin seeds are now cooked. I can hear them sizzling and I can smell that strong cumin aroma. Now into the pan I'm going to put the lamb, and we're going to seal the lamb. Give it a good stir. And just cook for about 5 minutes. I've cooked this lamb and it's now sealed, and by sealing it you trap in all the moisture in that lamb, so it's even more tender. Now I'm going to put in those onions that we've chopped really finely. Now for those of you who don't want to make this amount of lamb, and I'm making it for the freezer as well, just half the quantity of everything. Once the onions are in, stir, and now you allow it to cook. This is going to take time, so bear with it, and you keep cooking until those onions start to bind themselves around the lamb, and for those of you that have colour, becomes a rich dark brown. It does take time, but it's well worth doing. And if it starts to stick and you can feel the meat sticking, add a little bit of water and it will just loosen it up, and keep on cooking it. I've been cooking this lamb for half an hour, stirring it every so often, and it's still not done. It is almost like a sort of wood brown, a dark brown. Now it is slightly sticking, and I can feel it sticking. Now most people would put more oil in there thinking, oh, they need oil. Now oil, too much oil isn't good for you, and it takes away from some of the flavour. So the best way of helping to cook the lamb and just decaramelise it is a little bit of water into the pan, stir, and you'll feel it stop sticking. And you'll also, for those of you who have colour, you'll notice that the meat goes darker, and that's because it's decaramelising and it's giving a much deeper intensity of colour and flavour to the lamb. Now this lamb is nowhere near ready. I've had it on medium to high heat, and we still have a length of time to go. But like I said, it is worth it, because this lamb is so tender, it literally falls apart once it's fully cooked. So we're going to carry on cooking that lamb for longer. I've been cooking this lamb for a further 20 minutes, and it is now a rich chocolate brown, and it smells amazing. The lamb, the garlic, the ginger, the coriander, it is fabulous. And as I stir, for those of you that have very little sight and no colour, I can feel the lamb coming together, almost as if they're attracted to each other, sort of clumping together. And if I put a knife through the actual lamb, it is still tough. Even though it's been cooking for about an hour, it is still tough. Lamb takes an awful long time to cook, especially when you're doing a slow cooked curry like this. Now I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients. First of all, the tin of tomatoes goes in. Give it a quick stir. Now goes in salt, about a teaspoon worth. Next is chilli powder. Again, change this to your taste. So I'm going to put in about 3/4 of chilli powder. You can have it as hot or as mild as you want. Next goes in about 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper and a teaspoon of turmeric. Now the turmeric will give it a rich colour, deep and red and golden. Give it a quick stir, and now I'm going to put in about 1/4 teaspoon of garam masala. Now garam masala is a spice. It's a mixture of cardamoms and cinnamon sticks and cloves and cumin all ground together, and it gives that kick at the back of your throat when you eat a curry. So if you don't like that kick at the back of your throat, either do a pinch of garam masala, or you can just omit it altogether. You give this lamb a bit of a stir, and you now put in a handful of the leaves of the coriander. And we are going to cook this again. Again, it's going to take a length of time. And as soon as you start to feel it sticking slightly, add a little bit of water and loosen it up. And just now, keep it cooking until it's absolutely tender. I've cooked the lamb for another further hour until the meat is absolutely tender and falling off the bone, and I keep putting enough liquid in to cook it through, and it is this lovely rich chocolate brown. And just to show you how tender it is, put a knife through there and it just cuts and breaks, melts away. Perfect lamb curry. Now the length of time of cooking does depend on how big your lamb pieces are, the breed of the lamb and how old they are. So bear that in mind when you are cooking this, but it is well worth doing, trust me. Absolutely delicious, super moist lamb curry. Now you have a recipe for a great dish, but when you're in the kitchen there are certain safety guides and rules that you should adhere to, and which keeps you safe. Now, one of the things that I do before I start cooking is I make sure that I've got shoes on that are sturdy with good grips. I make sure that there's nothing on the floor that I can trip over, and there are no spillages or liquid or condensation on the floor that makes it a bit of a hazard. Now, before cooking, the first thing that you do, as we all know, is wash our hands thoroughly. And especially when you're dealing with raw meat at every stage, wash your hands thoroughly. It stops cross-contamination. It keeps you and your family safe. When you're using the oven and the hob, know your oven and hob really well. Now, I use tactile markings so that I know exactly what temperature to put the oven on and what setting, so that I've not put the grill on when I should be putting the oven on. Now, with the hob, whenever you're sort of putting anything on the hob, make sure the handle is not sticking out. Now, I like to keep the handle at approximately 10 to 12. And the reason for that is it's not near enough to the unit for you to accidentally knock it off. It is not over another hob which may be on, so the handle's getting hot. So this is the safest position. Now, if you're boiling anything, be very, very careful. Don't fill the pan up too much. And if possible, use the boiler alert, which tells you when that liquid is bubbling away and it's hot, and it keeps you safe. If you're not comfortable with the hob and the oven, use the microwave whenever you can. It's a lot safer. And every time you are taking things out of the oven or from the microwave, because remember, plates and dishes get extremely hot in the microwave, use oven gloves. Now, I like to use thermal oven gloves. They're a lot safer. Don't be tempted to use tea towels or anything else. And they literally go to extreme temperatures, so you're very safe with them. Whenever you cut any food in the kitchen, use safe cutting methods. Keep the blade away from your fingers, so set it a couple of millimeters away from your fingers, and that way you're safe all the time. Now, if you're not confident with a knife, you can use appliances like food processors. Make sure you know how they work properly, and keep safe. And if you're still not confident, ask somebody else to do it. It is better to be safe than have an injury. If you have any cuts or you cut yourself whilst you're in the kitchen, put a plaster on it. And if you have a burn, run it under cold water. And if it's bad, you seek medical advice straight away. Whenever you cook meat, always ensure that the meat is thoroughly cooked, because you know, raw meat will give you food poisoning. Now, the best optimum temperature to cook meat is between 66 degrees and 73 degrees. Use a food thermometer if you're not too sure. They do have talking food thermometers, which you can get quite easily. And you store the meat as soon as you can. As soon as it's cooled down, store it straight away in the fridge, and read the advice on storage on the labels.